Okay, welcome to the Ultimate Electric Guitar Technique Setup Guide, Part 2. So in Part 1 we talked mainly about the right posture, and as you can see, I practice what I preach. I have my guitar with me and it's in a strap and shoulders in a T formation, my left leg is elevated a little bit and my guitar is resting on my left leg here. So that's just by default. That's not like, okay, I have to shoot now, I have to pretend I'm making the right posture here. No, I'm all the time doing exactly this. I'm just sitting here and I'm playing. So in this part we will talk about playing rhythm guitar and about playing scales, and in the next part we will talk about playing the arpeggios, this kind of neat stuff here, and then also we will talk about killer phrasing, little stuff like this. So bonus points if you put in the comments what phrasing elements I was using in this little lick I was just playing. Okay, but let's get started with strumming first. This is the most basic thing that probably everyone wants to be doing right. And the one thing you should not do, because it just throws you off the path again and again, it brings you inconsistency on every account, is doing this. Like stopping before you, when you have a rest or anything. Your arm should always be swinging, always swinging, and it has to be like a metronome. And the only difference between strummed note and unstrummed notes is if you decide to basically lower your arm so that it hits the frets or the strings, or it just swings past them. That is really the whole secret of solid strumming. And you can do this at different tempos. You can speed it up, you can learn how to do this, no problem. Like if you play with this tempo, then you have some 16th notes in there, it's adaptable. So just adapt this, start playing with this, and then your strumming will be solid. Now there's a different kind of playing chords as well. That's called like arpeggiating, or picking it in single notes. So that goes pretty much like this. And all I'm saying about this here now, because we have much more to cover, I will go into this a little more in detail later, but if you're doing this, you want to pay attention simply to have very efficient motions and stay relaxed in your right arm as much as you can. So that also includes, you need a little bit of tension here when you're picking, but after that you need to give your arm a slight little moment of relaxation, like a split second, and then you'll not get tired so quickly if you're playing like a lot of stuff like so fast stuff that goes back and forth a lot. And that's the one part, but the other part also, and when you learn how to sweep pick you will know what I mean. Like learning how to sweep pick actually helped me really get my strumming and on my single note picking much better, because every time I have like a neighbor note here, I'm not doing this anymore, like separate strokes, and that just lends itself to make a lot of mistakes there. So just this way. So it's all you have to do, and it's much easier, and you can learn how to do this in proper timing as well. So this is the other part of picking single notes. Now let's go talk about tremolo picking, like doing this kind of stuff really fast. That is the biggest challenge there is probably maintaining the endurance for this and also the consistency. Now what my guitar teacher Tom has shown me there was really like a literal breakthrough for me, because what he showed me to do was, instead of doing this for a very long time and then hoping that you get better and better over time, the more you do this, that's not really a viable way to make actual progress with this. So just sitting there all the time, get faster, get faster, get faster, 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 my arm off. No, forget about it. This doesn't really help you, because you're usually or a lot of times you're not even doing this. You have like little bursts of like a little bit more rhythmic to it. I mean, this sometimes in metal it happens. You have these kind of sections sometimes, and a lot of times in metal actually, but the way that I'm going to show you now will also help you get better with this, because you will get more enduring, and your hand will know much more better how to stay enduring by learning how to relax. So here is what I'm talking about now specifically. Your practice is in kind of speed bursts like this. So now I chose, what was it? I think I played 7-note bursts there. You put a metronome onto this on a slow enough tempo. You want to fit it into one click. And you try to hit 7 notes. You try to squeeze those 7 notes into one beat, and then you give yourself a little rest. And then you continue with the next 7 notes. And you can vary between like just 2-note bursts, or even up to 16-note bursts or something like that. Just give your hand time afterwards to relax a little bit for like half a measure or something. And then you will really make fast gains with your tremolo picking. Also, the other variation of this is to start actually with an upstroke, so don't always start with a downstroke, start with an upstroke as well. That will make that part stronger too. Now, the next on the list is, let's talk about the palm muting. And I already did this in the previous example, but I haven't talked about it. But now we're going to talk about how to do this thing called palm muting. Like it's the technical side of things is really kind of boring and straightforward, because all you do is like you have the palm of your hand on the side of your hand, and you rest it here on the strings, and you start playing pretty much as usual. But where it gets interesting is that you want to get this really consistent, and also consistent every time you play it, so that you have the decision how strongly you apply this palm muting. So one thing that, like, there's 2 variables mainly. One is how much you press the strings, but also more important is how high does your hand go up the string. So it can be really low here and just barely touch the active string. Active string is, in this case here, the bridge. Like this part of the string here, it's not doing anything. It doesn't have any influence really on the note here. But like if I would play palm muting here, nothing would happen. So I'm talking about the active string length here, and if you palm mute a little bit, it sounds more open. But if I move my hand further in this direction, it will sound more and more closer, and also the pitch will increase. So be aware of this. Like the note will get higher. Did you hear that? It was like almost half a step. So there's like a sweet spot, and sometimes you need different kind of palm mutes, and sometimes you want to vary how you palm mute. But one thing you have to get really into your playing is the ability to make this as consistent as you choose. So a lot of times you will have patterns like emphasis and then palm mute. For a few notes. So this is the most common thing that happens, that it's not like all of the time. But every time you lift your hand up, you have to then restart your palm muting, and every time you do that, it should be exactly the same way as you had before. And a great way to practice is to record your playing twice. So you record the same thing twice, but on different tracks in your digital audio workstation, DAW, how people say, stupid name kind of. But digital audio workstation, so your recording software, and you have two tracks there. One is like the first take, one is the second take, and then you pan one track all to the right, the other all to the left. You put on headphones, you don't use speakers, you can't really hear enough difference with speakers, but because it mixes from one speaker to the other, to your ears too much. So if you have headphones, you only really hear the right side, because with speakers, even if you pan it right and left, you still hear the left side on your right ear. You don't want that. So put on headphones, and you will hear differences and inaccuracies between your right and your left take, and then you know what to work on and what to fix. So also getting the timing right is very important. It's like pretty self-understanding, I would say. So that's all I'm saying about rhythm guitar playing for now, and you will hear more about this in later articles. But now let's talk about lead guitar playing. And I have really like a dead horse to beat almost with the pentatonic scales, because there is a really persistent thing that just doesn't disappear, where people think, okay, I learned that one finger is responsible for one fret, so if I play this pentatonic scale here, the second position in the pentatonic, then I should keep that up, and I should play the pentatonic scale then like this. So I turn the guitar down here, but so middle finger, pinky finger, index, pinky, index, ring finger, and now again middle finger, middle, pinky. So this is like showing you the fingers. This is the worst possible finger combination you could have from all of the combinations that are available. And why do you want to overuse that? Because no matter how much, nothing against practicing to make your pinky stronger, or I'm all for that. We will need that later, but this combination here will never be stronger than this combination. No, like even if you do weightlifting with your pinky, you won't get stronger than your ring finger. It's just anatomically, I think, at least very unlikely. I don't want to say impossible. Nothing is impossible, but it's very unlikely. So, what I would recommend to play pentatonic scales is to apply the concept, the idea of using the strongest finger combination available, because that's you can't always use the same fingers like strictly. You have to be a little flexible there, but that's good, because then you also learn how to improve your technique with small shifts, and I'm going to show you what I mean now. So instead of starting with the middle finger on this scale shape here, by the way, I'm going to show you now the unfinished, or no, actually I can show you really quick the pentatonic mode that I mean. So yeah, I'm gonna open this one here. No, actually, hold on a second. Okay, I'm gonna make myself smaller, and this is the scale shape that I'm talking about. Here you see it right in front of your eyes, and we, instead of with the middle finger, like using the middle finger for everything that's in the 8th fret and the pinky finger for everything that's here, I'm going to show you a better way now. So I'm going to make myself a little bit bigger. Is this big enough? No, I'm going to go full on. So you don't have to, if you want to see this again, just scroll back and look at the diagram. You can handle it. So here's what we do, and how to play, how I would suggest playing those scales is, let's say we're just playing a scale from bottom to top, then you play like index finger, ring finger, and now you make a small shift one fret down, index finger, pinky finger, now index finger, ring finger, now you make a small shift up, index finger, ring finger. That's much easier, and it will be much easier for you to handle. Now, it might be that you're playing scale sequences like group of 3 notes with your pentatonic, but that works just the same. You apply the same principle, the strongest finger combination available, and I'm going to give you a slow example now. You can follow along. I'm not going to talk you through it, but I'm going to play very slow so that you can work it out for yourself. That will be much more higher value exercise for you than me dictating everything. So try to work it out, follow along. So that is how I would suggest playing the pentatonic scale. And if you apply this, you will get used to it, and it will be very simple because it's also compatible with all kinds of other things, just phrasing elements and things like that. You have the strongest finger available, so that's pretty cool. Okay, last thing to talk about are diatonic scales for now, and that is really probably the most controversial part, but you will not want to go back from this once I've shown this to you. It was groundbreaking for me, and it was for many other people as well, and it will be for you too if you haven't applied this yet. So here's what I mean. I have a diagram open for you here, and I'm going to show you. It's not this one, it's this one here. That is a major scale. If we start on the 8th fret, then we have a C major scale, and that's the example I'm going to use here. And let's talk about the fretting first, like the pattern, before we talk about picking later. That's a case for itself. But the fretting is laid out at 3 notes per string. That is the system. It's called 3 note per string system, or 3 note per string scale system, or abbreviated 3 NPS. You see me use that sometimes. And like literally 3 note per string. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Forgot the alphabet there. And you continue this, or you stay consistent with this. Now people have a problem a little bit with, but those scale positions and everything, and the little shifts here, but yeah, like you can practice this to make small shifts, especially if you stick to the posture advice that I gave you, and you learn a little bit how to make this kind of motion here, so lifting your thumb up a little bit and moving up and down, but it's not even necessary for some small shifts. So now the beauty about this is, you will see later how easy it is to speed up, and how easy it is to be also compatible, and just how it works like clockwork with everything else that I'm going to show you. It's a perfectly integrated system. It's beautiful. So if you just start out with this, you can't really see that far. So just try it for a few weeks for yourself, and you will get a lot of light bulb moments. So here's now the most common question about this: how do you play this stretchy part here? Because that is intuitively what people get wrong, and I'm gonna show you what not to do and what to do instead. So what I did first when I saw this was, logically you play this combination here, 8th fret, and then ring finger, the second note with your ring finger, because it's 1 finger per fret, right? And then, well, you have to stretch this over here to the 12th fret and go with it. No, don't do this. This is a very weak power balance. You have all the power between these fingers here, but none of the power between here. So I mentioned earlier that the middle finger and the pinky finger is probably the weakest finger combination, and that apply to pentatonic scales. But now, in general, of course, these 2 fingers here, they are even worse. So we want to avoid using those. And the simple thing that we do here is that I also saw classical cello players do, is they use the index finger, the middle finger, and the pinky finger for the stretch. And I'll show you how you get into this position now. I'm assuming now you went through my posture video. You went through my posture video, right? In the first part. If not, pause this video right now, go back to that post, and get your right posture in, because everything else will not make sense that I show you now. So, assuming you did that now, if you did, welcome back, good job. here is how you can get into this shape very easily. So put your fingers next to each other on 1 per fret. Now we go 1 per fret. It's 9, 10, 11, 12 for every finger here. Now all you do, your thumb here is roughly opposite side of the middle finger, and then all you do is this. You move your index finger 1 fret lower, and now you have already your fingers in the right position to play this figure here. So it's literally, you're done. it's nothing more than that. And the other shapes, of course, they are straightforward. So you play this with the index, middle, and pinky finger, and this shape here with the index, ring, and pinky finger. I hope I said index, middle, and pinky finger here. Okay, let's move on. Now, how to pick this? That's a lot of fun, because this goes against everything you've ever loved, everything you ever heard. Everything you ever thought was true now will become untrue. So how do I show this best? I will pull this up real quick here to make my point in the best way. 1 second. So here we are with the picking pattern. Now this little downward pointing bracket is a downstroke, all of those, and this little V thing here is an upstroke symbol. Okay. Now I want to introduce this thing called directional picking, which I believe Tom Hess himself, he coined that term. I don't want to do any injustice to anyone, so if I did, I will probably correct myself in the article that comes along to this video if you're watching this on YouTube. And it takes the best part from alternating picking and this thing called economy picking. I'm not going to go into what that is now. We're going to go straight to what directional picking is. And it basically means you go the fastest, the shortest way from one note to the next, regardless of where you came from. So here you can see, for example, this is a downstroke here on the E string. Then your pick is already moving from here, from this into this direction here, from here, there. So it's already on the way to the A string, so why stop it there? And you can simply keep the momentum up and play the next note, and then you invert your momentum, play this note, play this note. Now the next note is on the next higher string, and you're already on your way here, so keep the momentum up. All you have to learn is how to time this, and that is really maybe the tricky part, but this is not impossible to do, and I will show you more about this in a later article. But you can see this like, imagine you have a tennis racket in your hands, like my mosquito swatter here, my loyal little mosquito swatter. And let's take mosquitoes for an example. So if I have 2 mosquitoes flying around and I want to swat them both, I want to try to do that with the same motion instead of trying to hit one and then the other one, because it's simply more efficient. And with tennis it makes even more sense, because there's a ball coming to you and you want to hit it away. And if you have 2 balls coming at you with, like, next to each other with the same kind of speed, you probably want to hit them both at the same time. So you're not gonna go like bam and bam. You're gonna go more like swoosh. Okay, so that is the idea behind direction picking, and it lends itself perfectly. Also, it transitions into sweep picking that I'm gonna explain later too. So this, you can see this actually like a little sweep picking over 2 strings. So now you pull this through all the way up to here, and now you see the contour, is that a word? It goes backwards, it goes like from the G string again to the D string that we played earlier. So now you're playing a downstroke, you're on this way upwards, but the next one is downwards, so you have to actually just simply play an upstroke here. And I know it's on the downbeat and everything, but trust me, you can get the same articulation strength with your upstrokes if you practice them properly and you don't evade that. Then it's not a big deal, and with big distortion you can't really hear the difference anyway. You would have to have like a massively trained ear for that. So you play down, up, down again, and now the next note would be on the next higher string, so that's where you do the upstroke again, and then you can do up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up, all the way to the end, and here, yeah, we just reverse everything and go down the scale again. Cool. So yeah, that is everything. So about this part. So what I would recommend you to do now is as well, especially watch out for my next articles, and also if you really want to get very good help, very specialized help from probably the greatest guitar teacher in the world, then just click the link in the description here, and that will take you to the right place. Cool, so I will see you in the next one.